Mark Kroos.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, thank you for being here this evening. You know, actually, the guys are probably going to want to have me talk into the microphone at all times, which in a room like this, I have a lot of trouble doing because I have a loud, boomy voice, so I sometimes wander away from it. Sorry, guys. I'll do my best. I really, really will. But thank you so much for coming out tonight. Let's make sure this thing still works. Nora just gave me that look like, you messed up that second note. This is a bad start, Mark. Folks, that is my wife, Nora, right over there. Right behind the handsome gentleman with the camera. That is my wife, Nora. She's my favorite person in the world. We have been married for 6 years now, and we still like each other. And we've been on the road together for a really long time. Just about that long, really, and we still like each other. So those are two things to celebrate. So this instrument that I'm holding, this is called a double neck guitar. The brand that makes it is Ovation Guitars. You might have heard of them before, but it's designed where it's supposed to be a regular 6-string guitar neck on the bottom neck and a 12-string guitar neck on the top neck. The idea is you're supposed to play one neck like you play a regular guitar, where you push down the strings with the left hand, pick the strings with the right hand. And then you're supposed to switch and play the other neck like you'd play a regular guitar, where you push down the strings with the left hand, pick the strings with the right hand. And it's designed where you're supposed to be able to get the sound of a regular 6-string guitar in your song, and then the sound of a 12-string guitar in the same song without putting down one guitar and picking up another one. It's not what I'm going to use it for tonight. I've got them both set up as regular 6-string guitar necks. I'm going to try to play them both at the same time. Oh dear. Well, that's even more pressure then. Even more pressure. I did a small surgery on this guitar just yesterday. It was kind of shorting out on me. It's been all over the country with me for the past 10 years, and once in a while a wire, will fall out. So if it shorts out at any point, I got me a spare. Dueling banjos. Dueling banjos, a rich history in Charlotte, North Carolina. Arthur Smith wrote the song in 1954. And then they used it in that weird movie without asking him. And he sued them, and he won. So we probably shouldn't even be playing it tonight. But I won't tell if you won't. And I had a big blessing a few years ago where I released a video of that tune, and it blew up all over the internet. Like I said, it was a huge blessing for me. It got me booked in a lot more places, made it so I didn't, really have to live in the car anymore. And what I just played for you is exactly like what you would see in that video, only I threw in some mistakes. And I'll be throwing some of those in this evening to keep you on your toes. And in the meantime, this is my arrangement of Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. will make a quick mention, just real quick, real quick, that the room is very, 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 very acoustically live. So even the tiniest whisper, I will hear what you dug out of the fridge last night. I'll hear all about it and everything. So if we can't keep the whispers to a minimum, we would all appreciate it. Thanks a lot. The first question I usually get from anybody when I start playing this instrument is, how do you get a sound out of it? What's going on there? Are you plucking with both hands? Do you have a tape recorder hidden in the guitar where you press play, move your fingers like you're playing? Right. Usually you get a sound out of the guitar by pressing down with the left hand, picking with the right hand. But if you listen, I'm going to get that same note just by pressing down with the left hand. That technique is called a hammer-on. When I take my finger off the strings, that's called a pull-off. So you have hammer-ons and you have pull-offs. And between the two of those, we can get entire melodies with just the left hand. You can really kind of do whatever you want. And then you can bring the same idea over to the right hand. Thanks a lot. I'm glad to hear that people still raise their kids on that show. It's good stuff. But that really is how it works. It's the idea of doing the job of the left hand with both the left hand and the right hand really makes it possible to play the two guitar necks at the same time. This is one of my own original songs. It's on the CD that Nora has out there with the flower on it called Down Along the Lines of Joy. The flower had it win Manliest Album Cover of the Year in 2012. But this song is called Flight Attempt. myself with this. So this one goes out to Karen because she specifically requested it, and I hope I'm warmed up enough to play this song this evening. A lot of what I do on this instrument isn't nearly as difficult as it looks, and that last song that I played for you is a prime example of that. It starts off with both hands playing the same exact thing. Which really, it takes a little bit of practice, but it isn't anything too difficult. It's not like walking and chewing gum at the same time. It's more like chewing gum and chewing gum at the same time. So a lot of what I do is not as difficult as it looks. Some of it is exactly as difficult as it looks. Not gonna lie. And this is the stuff that's just taken hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practice. This song is an example of that. Left hand goes through most of the song. You might get tired of it. Then the right hand comes in with this completely different country picking line. Ooh, like I said, Karen, I hope I'm warmed up enough. Hopefully they sync up. We'll see what happens. This song used to be called Kroos on the Loose, but when Nora and I got married 6 years ago, we changed the title to Kroos Tied Down. That song could have and has gone worse. So thank you very much for helping me through that. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So, not to bore the non-guitar players or anything, but you'll live. We're going to do a little bit of a guitar lesson here. Just a little bit of guitar education. Standard tuning on the guitar is E, A, D, G, B, E. If anybody ever asks you, standard tuning on the guitar, microphone. Standard tuning is Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. That's how you can always remember it. That's how you tune a guitar, E, A, D, G, B, E, Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. That is not the tuning that I primarily use on the guitar. The tuning that I go to is called Dadgad tuning, D, A, D, G, A, D, Dadgad tuning. And it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. You can use it for a lot of things. But even in Dadgad tuning, I can't always get the sounds that I want in the shapes I want to play them. I want to play these three notes. And I want to play them fast, and I want to play them over and over again, but they're kind of crowded right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this string, I'm going to bring it up a little bit, a half step for anyone who cares. I'm going to take this string, I'm going to bring it down a little bit, a half step once again. And it's going to give me those three notes that were like this, but they're going to be in this shape now. I could just do that all day. Very, very easy to play those three notes. Now, the only downside here is that it takes my normal pretty dadgad tuning and makes it sound like this. But you're going to have to trust me because I'm a professional. You saw me use the bandana during dueling banjos. And what that does is it'll mute the open strings so that when I press down, remember when I press down, I get what's called a hammer-on. Well, now when I pull off, I don't get a pull-off anymore. It just mutes the open string. So I only get the notes that I press down. And if I only press down the notes that I want, everything sounds perfect, right? If I did my job right, we should have Charlie Brown. Very nice. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Oh, I appreciate y'all being here. Folks, can we hear it for Karen Webb for bringing me in? Really. She's awesome. Seriously. I would like to play for you my rendition of Pachelbel's Canon in D, which is also known as the song that nobody wants to have played at their wedding anymore. And the first person that I played this arrangement for was my younger sister, because she loves the song Pachelbel's Canon in D. And people tell me all the time, they say, Mark, don't be so hard on yourself. You're your own greatest critic. I found that's not true. My younger sister is my own greatest critic. She hated it. She said, Mark, that sounds nothing like Pachelbel's Canon in D. She'd kill me if I got her impression wrong. And she's right, though. I really just took the chords that everybody knows. You hear those chords, you know it's either canon in D or it's one tin soldier. So I took those chords, and then I did whatever I wanted to do with the melody. But I think it's a lot of fun this way. Hopefully you'll like it better than she did, and if you don't, keep it to yourself. got through that one together. Thank you very much. You know, when you're growing up and you're in school and you're in music class, the teacher always tells you, they say, hey, if you mess up, you know, just keep going like you didn't mess up and everything. No, I disagree with that. When you mess up in front of an audience, let them know. Definitely let them know. Make it as awkward as possible, and then start the song over. That's the way I do it, I guess. So I've got a question real quick. Are we in Monona or are we in Madison?
Monona.
We're in Monona because the address I found on Google said Madison.
Yeah, they
So,
get confused.
I know.
sometimes.
I'm sorry. I figured it was probably
Yeah,
Monona.
Yeah.
What with it being the Monona Public Library and everything, I figured maybe that was the case. Let me tune that real quick. Here in Monona, Wisconsin, are y'all dog people?
Yeah.
We have dog people here in Monona. I'm a dog person. I have nothing against cats, except that they're self-serving and arrogant and they taste awful. And I'm kidding, they taste great. But I really believe that dogs are the epitome of unconditional love in the world of animals. Nora and I, we were touring outside of Philadelphia a few years ago. We had the day off and we stayed with our friend Mindy. And Mindy has 2 dogs. She has a big old Rottweiler, and then she has a little 3-legged pit bull named Honey Bear. And there's a pool out back, so I decided I'd take my day off. I'd go swim laps in the pool, and Honey Bear hobbles out after me on all 3 legs. And I swim from one end of the pool to the other. She hobbles along on the pavement next to me. I go back the other way. She hobbles along on the pavement next to me. And after a few laps back and forth, I realized this little 3-legged dog was lifeguarding for me. I had no doubt in my mind if my head had gone under, if I'd been in distress, she would have hopped right in the pool after me. And I don't know what the plan would have been at that point. Because I don't know if 3-legged dogs can swim. But I thought it was really amazing to see that kind of love from an animal, because I think we're talking about unconditional love. I think we're talking about the complete and total adoration of somebody exactly as they are. Because it wasn't for who I was, it wasn't for anything that I'd done, it was just love. And it got me thinking that if this little 3-legged dog can show me that kind of love, someone she's never met before, someone she doesn't even know, certainly I must be able to show that kind of love to at least like 10% of the people I interact with. Right? Certainly we must all be capable of showing that kind of love. So this is a song written based off of that experience of unconditional love. It's off of a Slow Pretty album I released a few years ago called Clarity. And the song is just called Dogs. So we will do Q&A at the end, probably with the last 10 minutes. I like to do that with the libraries, but one of the questions that usually comes up is, what is this chip clip here? What is this thing? It looks like a chip clip. That's what it looks like. And that was just a prime example of having it in the wrong place. What this is it's called a capo. If I play something on the guitar, and I'm like, hey, that sounds pretty, but I don't want all of my songs to be in the key of D major, which is what that was just in. If I take my capo, I put it on the 2nd fret, and I bring everything up 2 frets, you hear how it sounds the same but higher? Now it's in the key of E major. Now we're in the key of F major. Now we're in the key of F sharp. Oh man, we could just do this all day, just changing keys, and it makes it so I'm able to play the same exact thing every time. I just move the capo and I'm in a different key. So what happened there was I'm used to the capo being up at the 5th fret. Don't tell anybody, but I had it at the 3rd fret. My mistake. Sorry you had to see that. This is a song that may not appear on any album ever, unless one day I make a B-sides compilation called Misfit Songs That Don't Belong Anywhere Else, but sometimes people clap when I finish them anyway. That album title is a work in progress. Look out for it at Best Buy. But this song is called Sketchy Tomatoes. Does anybody here like the band AC/DC? We have a couple takers. That song is called Thunderstruck by the band AC/DC. This is another one of their songs called Back in Black. So we have two songs here by the band AC/DC. We have Thunderstruck Thunderstruck, and we have Back in Black. Monona Public Library in the town of Monona, Wisconsin. Would you like to hear me playing both at the same time? Karen's reaction was the best. Oh man, we haven't gotten a reaction like that in a while. Like that was genuine surprise. Like she was not expecting that at all. That was great. Thank you, Karen. Should I ask him again, Norm? Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to hear me play them at the same time? Yeah! All right. So we'll start here. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sorry, it did get a little sloppy in there, but we'll let it go and everything. So I don't just sit in the practice room and think about what two songs I can try to play at the same time. All the time. But sometimes I do. And when I realized that those two songs might be able to be played on top of each other, I said, Mark, you got to learn how to do that. And so I've been doing those two songs for a while, but it started with going, okay, Thunderstruck, you can play that by itself, just with the left hand, pretty easily. That really isn't too hard to do, right, TJ? Not too bad. It's really not too bad. It's not too tough to do. Back in Black with just the right hand, though, sounds like this. It really doesn't work. That's those three notes there. You got to play that middle note with your left hand. Unfortunately, that middle note ends up being on the most awkward 16th note in the world during Thunderstruck. I'm going to play you just the left hand by itself, which is Thunderstruck with that added note, single note from Back in Black. Doesn't sound like much, but when you put it together, and it's just the hours and hours and hours. Now, I don't know the next time I'll be back in the Madison area, Monona, just to clarify, but hopefully it's soon. If it's not, though, I'm going to pull out all the stops, show you the other parlor tricks and everything. Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas. And part of the reason I'm doing this too is because I know there's some folks here that have heard me do the Thunderstruck Back in Black thing. I've been doing it since like 2012. So Carry On Wayward Son, and then Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. Start with the Kansas song, then we'll drop in Smoke on the Water, and we'll see how it goes. If you want, Karen, but the library closes at 8 and everything. And you've had a long day, too. You're kind of you to be here, seriously. Let me do, no, I'm going to do this one because I want to. This is, as opposed to the ones that I don't want to play. No, you do those ones though. Sometimes, like as a performer, you have to choose between the songs that you're like, ooh, I'm feeling that song right now, versus the one that's like, that's gonna be the obvious crowd pleaser. So I just made the selfish decision. Sorry. Hopefully you'll be all right with it, though. That album, Misfit Songs That Don't Belong Anywhere Else, but sometimes people clap when I finish them anyway, actually did get recorded. But I decided to call it Lose the Shoes. And that is the name of the album. I finished it the other day, actually, in Minneapolis. And it'll be out this fall, so I don't have it out just yet. But this is the title track from the album. It's called Lose the Shoes. We start with this, let's see. Start with the left hand. Y'all are very kind. All right. Oh, thank you for being here this evening. So usually at this point, and this goes differently in different parts of the country, in my experience, people up in these Scandinavian regions are very, very polite and soft-spoken and don't necessarily speak up necessarily. But does anybody have any questions? Not to name off all the stereotypes of Minnesota and Wisconsin or anything like that. It's just, I've been playing every weekend in the Twin Cities and in Duluth and everything, and people are so polite around here. Seriously, yes.
So are you basically ambidextrous, or is this just something that you practice?
So I am actually super, super right-handed. Like, the whole pat your tummy, I think you pat your head, you rub your tummy. I don't know. All that, it all comes by practice for me. So I'm not necessarily really good at, doing the two different things at the same time, but I'm pretty good at banging my head against the wall. And so that's what a lot of it has been. I had a few really good teachers in music school, classical guitar teachers in particular, that helped me learn to practice, especially in areas where I was really lacking in terms of natural abilities and that kind of thing. So those teachers really, really gave me, the guidance as far as what to practice, how to get the most out of my time, that kind of thing. Great. I was writing a tune that I couldn't play on a single guitar neck, and it went like it was a cool idea. It went like this, and it was I didn't have the double neck guitar at the time. I just had a single guitar neck. And I said, well, that's a great idea, Mark, but what are you going to do to support it underneath? And I thought it'd be really cool. Gosh, how does that even go? To go. No, yeah. Yeah, and when you put those two together on the same guitar neck, it sounds like, it doesn't work because your hands get in the way of each other. So I set up another guitar laying flat on a keyboard stand in its case with the case open. I used my right hand to play this part on that guitar. I used my left hand to play another guitar. So it was like that. I put them together, and it was... yeah. And then I said, wow, Mark, now you don't need to get a real job. So... but it actually did work. That's exactly how it worked out, though. I ended up, this was clumsy, like trying to play the two guitars. But then I thought, why not get a double neck guitar? Because it's designed where you're supposed to play both necks at the same time. Why not get you're supposed to play one neck and then switch to the other. Why not get one, take half the strings off the 12-string neck and try to play them both at the same time? And so I ordered it off eBay. I got it for a steal. And I was just out of college, so it was no drop in the bucket, but I was like, if it doesn't work for what I want to use it for, I'll just sell it on eBay again and get my money back. But when it showed up in the mail, I got it out, I took half the strings off the 12-string neck, and I wrote a song just almost immediately. It felt so natural in my hands, and it's just been that way since, and that was 10 years ago. So yeah, it's been a blessing to have this instrument. It's been really, really nice. Karen. There are a few. Yeah, there are actually a lot that do it on a single guitar neck. And believe me, there's a lot you can do on a single guitar neck. There really is a ton. But there are a few other guys that play a very similar instrument and play both necks at the same time. And what's really cool about it, though, is that we all do it super differently. We all do it really, really differently. One guy that I think of is Ethan Case. He's the other guy in America that I know of doing it. And he does it in a way where I'm just like, whoa, I have no idea what he's doing, but it's completely different from the way that I do it. And so it's just really cool to see the different ways people pick it up, because there's no standard way to do this, because it's not like music is written for it or anything. So you write your music based on the influences that you've had throughout your life as far as music goes, which for me is a bunch of 3-chord punk rock bands. Not even kidding. These are all punk rock songs, just without words. And yeah, that's just kind of where it's led me and everything.
Did you ever try it with the 12 strings?
Yes, and it is... Nobody should ever have to tune that many strings. It's just, I'm not even kidding. That's the main reason. Is you've seen me tune up here and before Swing Low Sweet Chariot, I made that joke, oh, that's the end of the song after taking 5 minutes to tune. You can only make that joke one time in your show, I mean, really. So I do like to be able to go from song to song as seamlessly as possible without tuning, and 18 strings is just way too much to tune. It is a little bit more difficult to really get convincing hammer-ons with it and everything, but it doesn't... You can get the action pretty low on these guitars. That's how low the strings are to the fingerboard, and you could definitely do it. But it's mostly the tuning. Yeah. Kiara, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was curious, how old were you when you realized you had this natural gift for
I don't know if I realized anything. I just didn't have any friends when I was 12. It was. So these two used to be my babysitters. When I was 3 years old, Rich, I was playing with Ninja Turtles, and it was just kind of funny though. I didn't get into music until I was 12 years old. Like, I didn't really get into music till I was 12 years old. I wanted to be a basketball player. And so I remember this time, not to embarrass Rich or anything, but I remember this time when I was probably about 5 or 6, I don't know, something like that. And I decided I want to be a professional basketball player. And Rich, Rich knows my dad real well and knows my dad is about 5'10" and can't jump very high. And and I was like, yeah, I want to be a professional basketball player. And I remember Rich saying, well, make sure you get out and chase the chicken around the yard, implying, be fast, you got to be quick because you're not going to be very tall. So I remember those exact words though, Rich. So anyway, I got into punk rock when I was 12, and that's the way a lot of kids that don't have any friends get into punk rock. That's exactly what happens a lot of the time. So, and that style of music is still really stuck with me in a lot of ways. I absolutely love it. And I think that in order to get into music, to start playing a musical instrument a lot of the time and to really become passionate about it, I think you need to have a style of music that you are into. You got to really, really listen. And so that's what I usually tell parents when they're like, hey, my kid is usually, oftentimes, it's I want my kid to play guitar. But they say, my kid wants to play guitar. And what I always tell them is make sure they're listening to music. Make sure they're listening to music. Make sure they find a style of music that they really like. It might not be the style of music that you listen to. It might not be, the Top Gun soundtrack, which is the best music we had in my house, strangely. But to expose them to a lot of different styles of music, get some James Brown in there. It's super important. And just to give them a palette to choose from as far as that goes. And they'll pick on something good. But there's no point in playing an instrument if you're not really into music, So anyway, other questions? Yes. My favorite song to play. Do you know the song "Come Together" by the Beatles? That's one of my favorite songs to play these days. Would you guys like to hear me play it? Yeah. I think I'll probably play it then. Well, I do. Let me. But that really is probably my favorite song to play right now. My favorite song in the world, though, it actually might be "Born to Run" by Bruce Springsteen. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, sometimes people laugh when I say Bruce Springsteen because they think of, like, the 80s, born in the U.S., which is fine. It's totally cool. But his first 3 albums, his 70s work, is just off the charts. And, like, that last verse of Born to Run when he comes in with, the highway's jammed with broken heroes. Oh, my gosh. Amazing. I absolutely love it. I love it. But, yeah, I love that song so much. Do we have one more question? I think everybody wants to hear "Come Together." Karen, yeah.
What's it like to play with another person? You have 2 people up there playing with double-deck guitars.
That's a great question I don't know the answer to. Like, I've never done that before. I've always actually wanted, the guy I mentioned before, Ethan Case. Ian, if you see this broadcast at any point, let's do a duet, man. He's a phenomenal player. So I know we both started around the same time and everything. We exchanged some emails like when we were first starting out and everything. But he's just a phenomenal player. So I'd love to do a duet with him sometime. I think it'd be really cool. Folks, can we hear it for the Monona Public Library? Seriously. And can we hear it for these guys for filming and for broadcasting, and for my wife Nora? She's awesome. She's awesome. And can we hear it for Kay for hooking us up with a place to stay tonight? Thank you, Kay. And I'm going to just shamelessly mention we have CDs and DVDs out there. They look all right with my name scribbled on them if you're into that kind of thing. We also have T-shirts. And please sign up for the mailing list. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that kind of thing. And hopefully we'll see you back in Monona sometime. Or in Madison. Maybe you'd make the drive. I am going to call it a night just because the library does close at 8 o'clock. But I'm going to be standing awkwardly out by the CDs and everything. And folks, seriously, thank you so much for being here this evening. Karen, thank you.